I wanted to talk a little bit about how you create, the distinctive voice that your pieces have. Is that something that you've developed over time, and did you see yourself in a certain tradition as you were starting out? Were there certain writers that you were emulating, and did you see yourself as part of a particular set?
I hugely admire the whole canon of the New Yorkers, the writers who, practically from the beginning of the magazine's history, really amazing, and also not only wonderful reporting, but almost from the very beginning of the magazine, the sense that stories could be very individual, that they could have voice, that they could include first person without being memoir in any way. And I think that was very influential for me, reading John McPhee, A.J. Liebling, Joseph Mitchell, all of the whole very long history of New Yorker writers who wrote with a lot of voice, and you would never mistake one of those people's pieces for another. I mean, they're very individual. When I first started writing, I think I imitated the writers I admired, and I actually think that's not a bad way to find your way to your own voice, which then ends up, it's so funny because you think, this sounds just like me. Why was it so hard to get there? But that's the strange thing about voice. And how that, it's so difficult to even put your finger on it. I'm not sure what it is as much as you're writing in an authentic way out of the material that you've gathered, and that there's more and more freedom. I think that's what it is, that over time I've felt more freedom to write the way I speak, and that becomes a very natural reflection of something quite personal in tone.
Yeah.
And then there's a huge amount of just factual reporting in my stories and certainly my books. A lot of history, a lot of background.
Yeah.
I think it still is being filtered through this sort of narrative voice that I would use if I were telling you these stories out loud.
Yeah.
And that's I think that there's some piece of that that's just purely the confidence that you actually know the material and that you can deliver it in an engaging way. I know that every story that I begin, I think this one's going to be really different. It's just not going to sound like all my other stories. It's going to sound really different. And then it ends up sounding the same. Yeah. They're all different, of course, but the fact is that it still ends up, I think, sounding like I wrote it.
Yeah.
And that's, for better or worse, I think it means that at least I'm writing truly out of my own voice.
Yeah.
I don't know how you develop that. I think it is a matter of experience, of confidence, of feeling that you begin by writing within the template of what you think a story should sound like, and then over time you begin feeling that you can experiment a little and tell it the way you would tell it, and take some chances and not have to, and feel comfortable thinking, well, this is the way, this sounds right to me. This sounds the way I would want to tell the story.